Shalom, shalom, everybody. The United Corporation of America. The United States of America has been a corporation since 1871. On February 21st, 1871, Congress went behind our backs under the Acts of the 41st Congress, Section 34, Session 3, Chapters 61 and 62. Congress passes an act titled An Act to Provide a Government for the District of Columbia. This is also known as the Act of 1871. In essence, this act formed the corporation known as the United States in all capital letters. Note the capitalization because this is very important. This corporation, owned by foreign interests, London, Great Britain, Vatican, the Roman Empire, and the foreign bankers, the Rothschilds, moved right in and shoved the original organic version of the Constitution in a dusty corner. With the Act of 1871, our Constitution was defaced in the sense that the title was block capitalized and the word for was changed to the word of in the title. The original Constitution drafted by the Founding Fathers was written in this manner: the Constitution for the United States of America. The altered version reads, the Constitution of the United States of America, in all capitals. It is the corporate Constitution. It is not the same document you might think that it is. The United States of America, in all capitals, represents a fictitious corporation. Your birth certificate, driver's license, social security number, bank statements are all written in capital letters, which means you have registered, submitted, and or applied to be a part of the United States of America as a fictitious character. The corporate constitution operates in an economy capacity and has been used to fool the people into thinking it is the same parchment that governs the republic. It absolutely is not. What the Congress did with the passage of the Act of 1871 was create an entirely new document, a constitution for the government of the District of Columbia. The kind of government they created was a corporation. The new altered constitution serves as the constitution of the corporation and not that of America. Think about that for a moment. Incidentally, this corporate constitution does not benefit the republic. It serves only to benefit the corporation. It does nothing good for you or me, and it operates outside of the original Constitution. The Republic fell February 21st, 1871, so Congress undoubtedly committed treason against what we now call the United Corporation of America. We have not been a country for some time now, for well over 100 years. The Declaration of Independence was signed in 1776. That's the same year that the Illuminati was created, 1776. Think about that. Were we ever free? Nope. Title 28 USC 3002 Section 15. Google it. Title 28 USC 3002 Section 15. Google that. What they never taught you in high school civics class, the United States of America is a corporation. See United States Code Title 28 3002-15, where it is stated unequivocally that the United States is a corporation. Washington, D.C. is a sovereign city-state not bound by any laws or treaties that the 50 states in the Union are, just as the City of London is not part of England proper, and the Vatican is also a sovereign city-state. The trinity of global control: Vatican City, religion; City of London, finance; Washington, D.C., military. All three are separate states, completely independent of their respective countries, and are the three powerhouses of the New World Order regime, all led by the United Nations. The people believed by most to be representing America in Washington, D.C. are immune from virtually all laws and treaties of the United States of America. These corporate CEOs, known as congressmen and congresswomen, are representing a corporation known as United States, which makes most of its profits off wars, environmental destruction, and a fiat paper money system. They are privately owned corporations called governments, and the law is nothing more than their corporate regulations called statutes. Private corporation owns and circulates the currency we are forced to use. Everybody says land of the free, home of the brave. We're not free. This company was created without the approval of Congress, nor the knowledge and authority of the American people. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York. In 1925, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York had offices on Cedar Street and on Broadway, both cited in the Articles of Incorporation. SD, Articles of Incorporation, United States Corporation Company. Why the right to vote in the United States of America is a fraud. In legal terms, your right to vote is actually a privilege, because to be a United States citizen means that you are a legal person, also known as a corporation. A corporation is a fictitious entity that has no rights. So when politicians tell you that you have the right to vote as a United States citizen, they are already lying to you. As described in the book, The Great American Adventure, The Secrets of America, your so-called right to vote in America is actually about slave registrations. Every applicant is asked if they are a United States citizen or other. A U.S. citizen is defined in all law dictionaries as a corporate entity. One of the greatest tricks that the New World Order did to enslave the people of the world was to secretly create a corporate version of countries, cities, states, and counties. By doing this, the leader of the New World Order and their minions were able to trick us to unknowingly agree to be agents or employees of these corporations through the use of fraudulent contracts. Your birth certificate, your social security card, your driver's license, bank statements. The information used in the United States. In commerce, when you see a name written in all capital letters, it is a corporate name or a legal name, which is a corporation. The legal name plays a significant role in your life because it is used by the government to identify the corporate you. Whenever you receive a government document issued to you, 99% of the time your legal name on the document is written in all capital letters. Your birth certificate and social security numbers. Birth certificate was created to offset United States bankruptcy declared in 1933 to satisfy bankers and creditors of U.S. debt. Your birth certificate and social security numbers and the modern slave trade. That's your slave number. The United States government is basically a corporate instrument of the international bankers. This means you are owned by the corporation from birth to death. The corporate United States in capital letters also holds ownership of all your assets, your property, and even your children. Does this sound untrue? Think long and hard about all those bills you pay, all those various taxes and fines and licenses you must pay for. Yes, they've got you by the pockets. Actually, they've had you for a long time, ever since you've been alive. In your heart, you know it's true. Don't believe any of this? Read up on the 14th Amendment. Check out how free you really are. With the Act of 1871 and subsequent legislation, such as the purposely ratified 14th Amendment, our once great nation of sovereigns has been subverted from a republic to a democracy. And as in the case under Roman civil law, our ignorance of the facts has led to our silence. Our silence has been construed as our consent to become beneficiaries of a debt we did not incur. The sovereign people have been deceived for hundreds of years into thinking they remain free and independent when actually we continue to be slaves and servants of the government. Wow. No more lies. The United States of America is not what you think. It is a corporation owned by England. The USA is the largest deception ever perpetrated. The date is February 21st, 1871, and the 41st Congress is in session. I refer you to the Acts of the 41st Congress, Section 34, Session 3, Chapters 61 and 62. On this date, in the history of our nation, Congress passed an act titled An Act to Provide a Government for the District of Columbia. This is also known as the Act of 1871. What does this mean? Well, it means that Congress, under no constitutional authority to do so, also created a separate form of government for the District of Columbia, which is a 10-mile square parcel of land. What? How could they do that? Moreover, why would they do that? To explain, let's look at the circumstances of those days. The Act of 1871 was passed at a vulnerable time in America. Our nation was essentially bankrupt, weakened and financially depleted in the aftermath of the Civil War. The Civil War itself was nothing more than a calculated front for some pretty fancy footwork by corporate bankroom players. It was a strategic maneuver by European interests, the international bankers, who were intent upon gaining a stranglehold on the neck and the coffers of America. The Congress realized our country was in dire financial straits, so they cut a deal with the international bankers. In those days, the Rothschilds of London were dipping their fingers into everyone's pie. thereby incurring a debt to said bankers. If we think about banks, we know they do not just lend us money out of the goodness of their hearts. A bank will not do anything for you unless it's entirely in their best interest to do so. There has to be some sort of collateral or some string attached which puts you and me, the borrower, into a subservient position. This was true back in 1871 as well. The international bankers were not about to lend our floundering nation any money without some serious stipulations. So they devised a brilliant way of getting their foot in the door of the United States, a prize they have coveted for some time, but had been unable to grasp thanks to our founding fathers, who despised them and held them in check, and thus the Act of 1871 was passed. In essence, this act formed the corporation known as the United States in all capitals. Note the capitalization because it is important. This corporation, owned by foreign interests, moved right in and shoved the original organic version of the Constitution in the corner. With the Act of 1871, our Constitution was defaced in the sense that the title was block capitalized and the word "for" was changed to the word "of" in the title. The original Constitution drafted by the Founding Fathers was written in this manner. I know I read some of this already. I'm just reading this little article right here. The Constitution for the United States of America. The altered version reads, the Constitution of the United States of America. All capitals, the new one. The other one was all lowercase, except for the word America and Constitution. It is the Constitution of the United States of America in all capitals. It is the corporate constitution. It is not the same document you might think that it is. The corporate constitution operates in an economy capacity and has been used to fool the people into thinking it is the same parchment that governs the republic. It absolutely is not. Capitalization, an insignificant change? Not when one is referring to the context of a legal document. It isn't. Such minor alterations have had major impacts on each subsequent generation born in this country. What the Congress did with the passage of the Act of 1871 was create an entirely new document, a constitution for the government of the District of Columbia. The kind of government they created was a corporation. The new altered constitution serves as the constitution of the corporation and not that of America. Think about that for a moment. I'm going to read to you a list of laws that you should know. Laws you should know. The IRS is not a U.S. government agency. It is an agency of the IMF, International Monetary Fund. The IMF, International Monetary Fund, is an agency of the UN, United Nations. Look in Black's Law Dictionary, 6th edition, page 816. The United States has not had a treasury since 1921. 41st Stat, chapter 214, page 654. The U.S. Treasury is now the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. Presidential Documents, Volume 24, Number 4, page 113, 22 U.S.C. 285-2887. I'm going to leave a bunch of links in the box below so that you can look all this stuff up for yourself. A bunch of links I'm going to leave. The United States does not have any employees because there is no longer a United States. No more reorganizations. After over 200 years of bankruptcy, it is finally over. Executive Order 12803. The FCC, CIA, FBI, NASA, and all of the other alphabet gangs were never part of the United States government, even though the United States government held stock in the agencies. U.S. v. Strang 254, U.S. 491, Lewis v. U.S., 680 F. 2nd 1239. Social Security numbers are issued by the UN, the United Nations, through the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. The application for a Social Security number is the SS5 form. The Department of the Treasury, IMF, issues the SS5 forms, not the Social Security Administration. The new SS5 forms do not state who publishes them, while the old form states that they are the Department of the Treasury. 20 CFR, Council of Foreign Relations, Chapter 111, Subpart B, 422.103b. There are no judicial courts in America and have not been since 1789. Judges do not enforce statutes and codes. Executive administrators enforce statutes and codes. FRC v. GE 281, US 464, Keller v. PE 261, US 428, 1 Stat 138-178. There have not been any judges in America since 1789. They have just been administrators. FRC v. GE 281, US 464, Keller v. PE 261, US 428, 1 Stat 138-178. Again, I'm going to leave this all these links down here, so you click on them and you can read these for yourself. According to the GATT, the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, you must have a Social Security number. House Report 103-826. New York City is defined in federal regulations as the United Nations. Rudolph Giuliani stated on C-SPAN that New York City is the capital of the world. For once, he told the truth. 20 CFR, Council of Foreign Relations, Chapter 111, Subpart B, 44.103, B22. Social Security is not insurance or a contract, nor is there a trust fund. Helvering v. Davis, 301 U.S. 619, Stewart CO. V. Davis, 301 U.S. 548. Your Social Security check comes directly from the IMF, International Monetary Fund, which is an agency of the United Nations. It says U.S. Department of Treasury at the top left corner, which again is part of the United Nations. As pointed out, yes, you own no property. Slaves can't own property. Read carefully the deed to the property you think is yours. You are listed as a tenant. Senate Document 43, 73rd Congress, First Session. The most powerful court in America is not the United States Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. 42 PA CSA 502. The King of England financially backed both sides of the American Revolutionary War. Treaty of Versailles, July 16th, 1782, Treaty of Peace, 8 Stat 80. You cannot use the U.S. Constitution to defend yourself because you are not a party to it. Paddleford, Fay and Company, or NCO. V. The mayor and aldermen of the city of Savannah, 14 Georgia, 438, 520. America is a British colony. The United States is a corporation, not a landmass, and it existed before the Revolutionary War, and the British troops did not leave until 1796. Republica v. Swears, 1 Dallas 43, Treaty of Commerce, 8 Stat 116, Treaty of Peace, 8 Stat 80, IRS Publication 6209, Articles of Association, October 20th, 1774. Britain is owned by the Vatican. Treaty of 1213. The Pope can abolish any law in the United States. Elements of Ecclesiastical Law, Volume 1, 53 and 54. 53-54. A 1040, a 1040 form is for tribute paid to Britain. IRS Publication 6209. The Pope claims to own the entire planet through the laws of conquest and discovery. Papal Bulls of 1495 and 1493. The Pope has ordered the genocide and enslavement of millions of people. Papal Bulls 1455 and 1493. The Pope's laws are obligatory on everyone. BENED.XIV.DESYN.DIOEC, LIB, IX, C.VII, N.4.PRATI, 1844, Syllabus, Prop 28, 29, 44. We are slaves and own absolutely nothing, not even what we think are our children. Tillman verse. Roberts 108 SO.62, Van Coten verse. Van Coten 154 N.E.146, Senate document 438, 73rd Congress, first session, WYNE Hammer V. People 13 N.Y. Rep 378, 481. Military dictate. George Washington divided up the estates into districts. Messages and Papers of the President, Volume 1, page 99, 1828, Dictionary of a State. The people does not include you and me. The people, quote unquote, does not include you and me. Barron versus Mayor and City Council of Baltimore, 32 U.S. 243. It is not the duty of the police to protect you. Their job is to protect the corporation and arrest code breakers. SAPP verse. Tallahassee, 348 SO.2nd 363, REIFF VS. City of Phila. 477 F. 1262, Lynch verse. NC Department of Justice 376 S.E. 2nd 247. Everything in the United States is up for sale. Bridges, roads, water, schools, hospitals, prisons, airports, etc., etc. Executive Order 12803. We are human capital. Executive Order 13037. The UN, United Nations, has refinanced the operations of the United States government for over 50 years. Has financed the operations of the United States government for over 50 years. U.S. Department of Treasury is part of the UN. And now owns every man, woman, and child in America. The UN also holds all of the land of America in fee simple. The good news is we don't have to fulfill our fictitious obligations. You can discharge a fictitious obligation with another's fictitious obligation. I'm going to leave a link so you can look all those laws up. Well, I refer you to the United States Code, all capital letters, United States Code. Note the capitalization indicating corporation, not the republic. Title 28, 3002, 15 ABC. It is stated unequivocally that the United States is a corporation. I'm going to leave that in a link too.